Hello, I'm Ryan Williams, House Republican Caucus Chairman from the great state of Tennessee. Today, Chairman's Chat, I have one of my good friends from Knox County, from the Fighting 13th District there in Upper East Tennessee, my good friend Eddie Smith. Welcome, Eddie.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here today.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. It's always a great day here at the Capitol. It's been a long day today, so thanks for coming this afternoon. Talk a little bit about what's going on in your community. I think it's interesting. I like to start off with a little levity when we talk about Chairman's Chats, and so I talk about one of the things I love to do, and that's eat. And so if I'm traveling through the 13th District, maybe, which probably I do quite often, and want to find a place to eat, you think, this is quintessential 13th District here in Knox County. This will be where I would tell you to go. Where would you tell me to go eat?
Depends on what mood you're in, honestly. It's one of those that because the district is so vast, we can't leave out any one part of the district.
Yes.
So if you're looking for some good barbecue down in the south, there's Love That Barbecue. And then also we've got Dead End Barbecue, which is in the west part of the district. If you're in the mood for Italian, you can go to Louie's up in the north part. And then we can take you over to Honeybees for some desserts.
Honeybees. I don't think I've tried honeybees. I'll have to try that out next time I'm through Knox County. Of course, as you know, my parents live over in Knox County, so anytime we get a chance to go see them, it's a lot of fun. So one of the other things we like to tell people that are watching across the state, and of course this for some of your people in your district who may have not got a chance to meet you, I got into running for office because I got frustrated about a decision that was made, and I thought this was the wrong way to go, and so I decided to get involved because I was mad, or mad running, as they say. But tell me, why is Eddie Smith doing this? Why does he enjoy serving?
It really goes back to kind of growing up. I tell everybody, my grandfather had served in World War II. He actually drove an LST, which was a landing ship transport, and dropped off tanks on the beaches of Normandy during D-Day. Oh. So growing up in a family where service and giving back was something that was ingrained and taught to us. Unfortunately, I have the eyesight of a bat, so I cannot serve in the military. Just began to look for ways to serve. And for 14 years, I did that through serving at a church that I was on staff at back in Knoxville.
Wow.
And really just kind of began to become concerned about, what kind of country, what kind of state are we leaving for my kids and my grandkids? So that's really what drove me to run for office, is I wanted to be able to make decisions that we were going to leave the state in better shape for my kids and for my grandkids than what I inherited.
Right. Well, that's great. It's interesting that a lot of us get involved because of our family. I didn't know that story about you, but obviously you also have married well above your pay grade. I remember meeting your wife for the first time, but I can't remember. How old are your children now?
My son just turned 8 this past Friday, and my daughter was getting ready to turn 12. In her mind, she's 11 going on 30. So.
Yes. Well, I think that's the case with all girls for some reason. I think my daughter is the same way. Of course, she's going to be 14 pretty soon, but she's still...
Almost driving. You're going to have to up your insurance.
Oh, I know. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of insurance agents up here trying to write some new business. But the reason I bring it up kids is because, there's a lot, the challenges faced by a lot of the high school students, particularly my 16 and going on 14-year-olds. It's amazing the things that they face that we didn't face as it relates to certain things, and particularly students suffering from addiction or things like that. We have this growing population of kids who are suffering from this. Most of the times are because of their pharmaceuticals that are really being diverted in their home, either grandma or Mama and Papa, if you're from East Tennessee.
I'm going to say Mama and Papa for back where we're from.
Yeah, that's a completely different Chairman's Chat about how the 3 grand divisions treat their grandparents' names difference. But tell me a little bit about that. I heard a little tidbit about this the other day. I think it's really important for people to know.
I've got one of the big bills that I'm working on this year is a recovery high school bill. Mm-hmm. And really it's trying to seek to find a way. We've done a lot in the last few years when you are an adult on addiction, but what are we doing to try and catch kids, before they fall off the world, if you will, into the world of addiction. So it's really trying to find a way to help those students that find themselves addicted to a substance. Mm-hmm. They go through some treatment, but if we put those children back into the high school where they came from, within 24 to 48 hours, they're being offered the same substance we're trying to get them off of. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of a concept. There's recovery schools kind of spread out around the nation. So it's kind of taking some of that and what I've learned through this process and making a Tennessee-specific solution.
Wow.
Because, I think we've got some good ideas that we can bring to the table on all this stuff. But it's really to find a way to help those kids, because in an addiction, when a child starts down that path, they let school go. It's a slow slide. It's not something that just happens overnight, but it's a slow slide. You start seeing them, maybe missing school, then they stop turning in assignments, their grades start to slide. So it's really to find a way, instead of them heading towards dropping out, how do we intervene, get them back on course? And some of the stats that we've looked at from the schools, almost 100% of the kids that come into a recovery school, they're headed towards dropping out. Right. But after attending the recovery school, better than 92% of them actually graduate high school, and over 80% go on to a post-secondary education. So it has the potential to completely transform these kids' lives, get them off the path of destruction they're headed towards, and put them on a path of success.
Yeah, well, that sounds really interesting. I think one of the things that we look at when we're talking about our kids and seeing this, I know in our own family we have a friend whose son was struggling with this, and the only solution for them as parents was to ship him off somewhere to get treatment for a long period of time. And you also look at the fact that teachers and coaches generally are the first ones to really see that there's a problem sometimes, because unfortunately they seem to spend more time with our kids than they do if they're at school, so they can recognize changes in them too. So I think it's a really good idea. Of course, they're all new set of challenges in education in that way, but it looks like to me that's one of the benefits to this, is you're not necessarily upsetting the child's apple cart, if you will, in the beginning.
No, and that's really kind of what the point is. You want to kind of create a safer environment around that child, again, changing their environment. But this has long-term effects for our state. The old adage is you can either pay a little now or you can pay a lot more later. So let's game this out for a second. If we do nothing and we continue on the trajectory, last year the Department of Mental Health gave me the numbers that we had over 33,000 adolescents under the age of 18 that were using an opioid or heroin non-medically in this state. Boiling it down, that's 1 out of every 8 kids in our high schools.
Wow.
So that's how serious the problem is in our schools. And if we do nothing, then those will become adults. They'll start having children who will be addicted to drugs, so our NAS births go up. The NAS births, those children have developmental delays, which causes us to have to spend more money once they enter our K through 12 education system. They have additional health care costs. So that's why I say we can pay a little now, or we're going to pay a lot more down the road.
Well, Representative, it's a great idea. Honestly, it's something I think, unfortunately, that we need in the state. It's exciting to hear you championing this for your district and for all these families across the state whose sons or daughters may be impacted by this, either today or in the future. And so I look forward to watching the dialogue as we go forward, and look forward to seeing the discussion. Hopefully we'll have a industry leading or a school-wide leading there in your district. So
looking forward to it.
Appreciate you sharing a little time with us today.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.